This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Risa says this, and this kind of surprises me. So maybe the temperature going down has affected things, or there's an accident. West Loop and 19th Street closed. Went through there about an hour ago, and it was fine. But I'm going to take Risa's usually on top of things like that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So
that's a pretty big overpass.
Yeah,
I'm willing to bet that's an ice rink right now.
Yeah.
And if you stop them on 19th and don't let them get on, they're not on the flyover either, getting onto the South Loop. Mm-hmm. And we know that thing gets bad fast.
Yeah. And it's funny. You guys have been proud of me. I went actually 15 miles less than what I did this morning to going to work. Okay, I was probably still...
Then what?
Than my usual speed, which is above the speed limit. Okay.
Were we still above the speed limit?
No, I was
okay.
not. I was not. I was below the speed limit. But there was... And it was funny because the bridges that I expected at 5:30 this morning, or the overpasses that I expected to be a little dicey, weren't. But there was one over just about as you're coming up on University, I kind of felt just a little slide.
That's the Quaker overpass. Yeah.
Yeah, just felt a little slide and went
Quaker / 19th.
Yeah, right in that area. Yeah, I felt just a little slide there, and I went, okay, well. There's a little something to be said here. So do be careful as you get out and about this morning. And
Mother Nature's not playing around today. Be nice.
Yeah, it's one thing for snow, but the ice is particularly dicey. So
you can see the snow.
Yeah, keep that.
You can't see the ice.
Keep that in mind. I have kind of a stupid question for you, but it's kind of it's been in the back of my mind. Why do people get so upset over the Super Bowl halftime show? I mean, there's been now 59 of these, okay? And, the Super Bowls 1 and 2 were probably marching bands. I don't recall them. I don't recall Super Bowl 1 and 2. Super Bowl 3, I remember Super Bowl 3 and then moving forward. And there have been times when there have been good acts, and, there have been times when it's been too, safe up with people. People got tired of up with people, the up with people, do, 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 do. And then there's been times, where people got outraged with the various musical artists. But it baffles me sometimes why people just get so outraged over the Super Bowl halftime. Maybe it's just the volume of people that are watching, and you can't have something for everybody.
I'm usually entertained by the right after the Super Bowl halftime. If you were one that wanted to go to social media, you could really quick find greatest halftime show ever, worst halftime show ever. Mm-hmm. I'm usually entertained by that. Watching this year's, which I just couldn't stop laughing during this year's. I mean, it was so out of my realm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I fully admit that. It made me feel old, which I consider myself, so it was fair. I couldn't understand hardly any words. Then to find out that the whole thing, or so much of it, was just him dissing some other rapper, okay?
Yeah.
Who happens to be Serena Williams' ex-boyfriend, and even though she's now married to some other guy, she's out there crip walking, whatever that means. Joyce taught me that word yesterday. Yes. I'm like, and I think I'm in the boat of if my wife is going to celebrate, dissing her ex-boyfriend, I'm like, are you really with me? Or are you still
right? He's still carrying a torch.
With him? Yeah. Yeah.
And she changed clothes. I mean, because in the stand she was, wearing one thing, and then she puts on her outfit to go do the halftime show.
It just so after the show itself, I'm like, okay, just not my style of music, whatever. Right. Maybe it was good. I have no idea.
Right.
Not my style.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't know what he said. I thought it was funny. I said at one point, man, he looks really short. And then somebody I was with is like, well, he's 5'5". I'm like, well, no, he doesn't look really short. He is really short.
He is short, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I haven't heard that much outrage. I think I've just heard people like me saying, yeah, just not my style. Mm-hmm. So where are you getting the outrage
I just think that there's maybe outrage, and maybe that's too much of a word. It just seems like people they're bothered by. It's like, I'm just surprised at how much people wring their hands over the halftime show.
I question certain things, like, I heard somebody the last week before the Super Bowl I actually read it on our chat line, like, oh, it's crazy how bent out of shape people got over the whole wardrobe malfunction thing. Is it too much to ask the NFL that we can allow our children to watch the halftime show and not have to blush?
Cover their eyes or turn their head.
Jennifer Lopez a couple years ago with all the just over-the-top crotch shots.
Yeah.
It was like, what are we doing?
Right.
Why can you not? You're a terrific singer, and why don't you just entertain us with your singing? I mean, why? I don't understand, but there's a time and place for everything, and I question what the NFL's motives are with some of it. I don't understand. And I would have also looked at this year and said, did you really hit your key audience there, NFL? I don't know. Maybe that's who they're going for. They're trying to bring more young African Americans into watching the NFL. And if that's their thought process, so we're going to market towards them, well, genius move, NFL.
Yeah.
I would guess that's not the majority of their audience. I wouldn't, but that's not for me to decide. That's the NFL's choice.
And then the other thing too is just I don't know. It just kind of surprises me sometimes about how it's a lightning rod. It seems like every year it's a lightning, and sometimes they make it a lightning rod when they don't need to.
Yeah, but maybe that's what they want.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are Wednesday of the next week, and we're talking about it.
Right.
Maybe that's what we want. I'm not like anti-rap or hip-hop. Mm-hmm. Okay, like when we had Dre and Snoop and Eminem a couple years ago, that's more mainstream, and I think anybody, even though they may not be diehard rap people, first off, you can understand some of that, and you okay, that's what we'll do this year. Next year it might be country. Next year it might be or whatever.
Right.
Okay, I get it, and I understand it's not always going to be my style or whatever. Mm-hmm. This one was just comical to me. I mean, it was just comical to me because I don't know. I thought the whole thing was a joke.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It's February the 12th, 2025. Here's Jeff McGuire with a day in sports history.
Going to start us off in 1958, gentlemen, because that is when Boston Celtics' Bill Russell grabbed 41 rebounds to beat the Syracuse Nationals 119-101. Jamie, I know that you didn't grow up in Syracuse, but you were close. Did you know about the Syracuse? Was there conversation about the Nationals when you were growing up, or because they didn't exist then?
No, it was before my time.
What?
Yeah.
But hey, back in the day, we used to have an NBA
team.
Nothing.
No. Yeah.
Okay, I just wondered.
Yep.
1974. Sophomore Bill Bullock scores 32 points as Texas Tech beats Southwest Conference rival Arkansas in an 11th straight time. 89-83, this one was in Lubbock. 3 years later, Mike Russell surpasses the 30-point mark for the third game in 4 weeks, scoring 32 points as Texas Tech beats Texas 87-69. 1989, something that I don't know how, I think this might have been the only time it happened. NBA All-Star Game in the Astrodome. West beats East 143-134. Karl Malone, Utah Jazz forward, was the MVP.
89. Wow.
It could have been before, but I don't think it happened afterwards. I don't remember an All-Star game in Houston growing up.
Yeah. No, I think you're
right. 2002, Andre Emmett scores 30 points and grabs 6 rebounds as Texas Tech opens up a 4-game win streak with a 90-65 win over Baylor. In 2007, Marty Schottenheimer is abruptly fired as the head coach of the San Diego Chargers due to a lack of playoff success and a strained relationship with ownership. That kind of goes into the how do you get fired category in the NFL. And in 2024, Darion Williams made all 12 of his shots and scored a career-high 30 points to lead Texas Tech to a 79-50 win over number 6 Kansas on Monday night at the United Supermarkets Arena. It's National Plum Pudding Day.
I don't care for that.
I have no idea, but I don't have any desire to try it. Have you had plum pudding?
I think it's been put in front of me, and I looked at it, and I decided that didn't look like something that I would want to even try.
How about you, Jeff?
I think I've had it. It's okay, if it's what I'm thinking it is.
I didn't even know it existed until you mentioned it, so.
Oh, yeah, I've known it's existed for quite some time.
Yeah.
Big, huge, enormous happy birthday going out to Texas Rangers starting third baseman and former Red Raider baseball player Josh Young.
How old is he today?
27 years young.
Okay.
See what I did there?
I did.
27 years young.
Young, yeah.
Nice job, Jeff.
Mm-hmm. Actually, the All-Star Game's been played twice in Houston.
In the Astrodome?
No, in the Toyota Center.
I was talking about the Astrodome.
Okay, in the Toyota Center twice.
Josh Brolin, 57. Robert Griffin III is 35. DeMarco Murray, 37. Arsenio Hall is 69. And Todd Frazier is 38.
Arsenio Hall is 69?
69.
69. I would not have put him at 69.
That feels about right. I mean, figure he was 40-ish when his show was on the air.
I guess.
It's been forever.
It's been a minute. No, there's no doubt. I just, compared to some of the other names you bring us every day that seem either older or younger, that one surprises me that Arsenio is 69. But like you said, he was in his 40-something, so that probably makes sense. And is that this day in sports history?
No, there's one little. I forgot to get this ready beforehand, and it's one of my favorite moments that's happened in history, and we enjoy it too because 5 weeks ago, when the guy was asked about whether working on this, his initial answer was no. There was a little music festival going to be happening in New York City, and Gershwin didn't want to participate. He wasn't interested, but the paper said he was going to. And he went, I'm going to do what? Well, I better write something. And he wrote Rasputin Blue, which is now one of the most famous composed piece in American music literature. And it started a whole wave of traditional composers being able to use jazz and jazz stylings in their music at the time. And it really created a renaissance for orchestra-type music at that point in the U.S. and new composers doing things. And it's a beautiful piece of music, and if I had remembered that this was in my tale, I would be playing it right now, but it'll be our out, because that's this day in sports history.
This is the one that goes dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. You got it now?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
I mean, I know what Jeff's talking about, but I have no idea of what you do, your do-to-dos over there.
Okay, it's the old United Airlines music when they...
Okay.
And
I have complete faith in you, Chuck.
Okay.
I bet you nailed it.
New, old, and current.
Yeah.
Like, they adopted it and have hung on to it to this day.
I had a customer 40 years ago that wanted to use that as music underneath, and I dismissed him. I'm
pretty sure you get copyright stricken for it now.
Well, and then he said, "No, that's what I want to do," and I'm like, "Okay." So we did it, and then United Airlines a few years later started doing it. I'm like, "Oh, that was probably a pretty good idea that guy had." I mean, I was just a 25-year-old snot-nosed radio person, as opposed to the 64-year-old snot-nosed radio person that I am today.
Okay. There's Kleenex, probably somewhere around the building.
I would think. Let's see. The halftime show clearly went over y'all's head. I personally loved it, and the fact that so many are upset about it. The same people upset at the halftime show are those same ones who said they would no longer watch the NFL after Colin Kaepernick and the rest of it. No, I don't. Colin Kaepernick had nothing to do with it. I just, it didn't. I guess if it went over my head, it went over my head. But look, music and lyrics, I've never really kind of matched that up. It's just if I like the song, I like the song. I don't get into all the political aspects of all these songs that people put out there.
100,000% it went over my head. I had no idea that. What's his name?
Drake.
Who's this guy?
Oh, Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar and Drake had beef. I don't know what either one of them looks like. I've never heard either one of them sing that I know of, okay? So do I care that they have beef? Do I feel like that was the right time to, go after your arch nemesis?
Use the number one program in the history of television?
And do I think it was quite, again, comical that the NFL gave him that platform to do that? Like, what are we doing here?
The NFL surely knew.
Sir, Texter, 1,000% it went over my head.
It did. It went over mine, too.
I don't care. I also was not upset about it. I acknowledge there's certain styles of music I like, and some years that's going to be for me, and certain years it's going to be for other people. And this was clearly one that was not made for me.
I built
no upset whatsoever.
I helped a 5-year-old build a plastic tower that went way above my head, and I thought that was a very productive use of halftime.
I just continued to watch and laugh.
Yeah. It was on, but I was, kind of at that point in time, I wasn't really thinking about the halftime. I was thinking about what in the hell happened in the first half. And the game is over, basically. But we're going to build a tower. And we did.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Texas Tech and Arizona State tonight from the arena. Coverage at 7. We'll talk about it all day long on our variety of shows. And the tip tonight at 8. Arizona State is 12-11 overall, 3-9 in the conference. They're 5-5 at home in conference play, overall play, I guess, and 2-5 away from home, and 5-1 in neutral play. In the Big 12, they're 1-5 at home and 2-4 away from home. So they've done better away from home than at home, but they ain't saying much because they're 3-9. So just so you know, ain't saying much.
Not saying it's a terrible basketball team, but there's a reason their record is what it is in Big 12 play.
Sure. Okay, here is Grant McCaslin, the head coach of the Red Raiders, his opening statement to the media yesterday about this ball game.
Great to be back in the USA, playing a really strong Arizona State team and what I think had one of the best non-conference resumes of anybody will play. I was going back and looking at their schedule, beating St. Mary's, being one of New Mexico's only losses, and they've won 2 of their wins are on the road, beat a great West Virginia team. So we know what this Arizona State team is capable of, and really excited about the opportunity to compete tomorrow night.
So they average about 68 a game. They average giving up 74 a game. They get out-rebounded. They do get to the free throw line, make about 13 a game, but they allow their opponents to make 15 a game. They make almost 9 threes a game, so that might be a concern tonight, Jamie.
Yeah, you would think so. It's usually the makeup of an upset. You have a team that really shoots well from behind the arc, or has one guy that really gets going and has a surprise performance. So that's definitely one way for them to come in here and steal a victory, would be if they got hot from behind the arc. Yeah,
they're somewhat steal prone. They average giving up almost 9 steals a game, and they steal about 5 themselves. So the plus minus in turnovers is 2. But if you have a propensity to have theft that you give up, That leads to, fast break turnovers and points and slam dunks and extra energy in the gym and all that kind of stuff. So that might be something to look out for tonight. All right, I'm really curious what he had to say about this, because I don't know if this is the exact question, but I bet it's pretty close. I wasn't there to hear it, but here's the statement. How important is it to not let their guard down against a bottom feeder team like Arizona State?
No, I watched enough of Arizona State over the course of the season, and I've watched, obviously we had a couple of transfers from Arizona State. So a few years ago, I watched just about every game that they played in Devin Cambridge and Warren Washington and evaluating their team. And, man, they always find a way to win games in league play in February that may surprise some people. And Coach Hurley is as good as anybody at hanging in there with his team and getting them to believe that they can win a game. And so just a tremendous amount of respect for how they're able to keep getting better. And they go on runs in February. Go back and look at the teams he's coached. They've figured out ways to go on runs. And we've got to be at our absolute best tomorrow night to beat them.
That's Coach Grant McCaslin. And the Hurley he's referring to is Bobby Hurley, who played at Duke and had a great college basketball career, was on his way to, I wasn't going to say, I wouldn't necessarily say he was going to have a great NBA career, but we really will never know, because early on he got into a car accident that really affected him for a period of time. He did come back from that to play, but he was never the same player after that car accident. I believe he was on his way to a game and got into an accident. It was not his fault. He was the most outstanding player of the 92 Final Four, two-time national champion, 91 and 92. So he played on some great Duke basketball teams, and was just a terrific senior for him, and helped him, win and ran the show, and then played in the NBA for the Sacramento Kings and the Vancouver Grizzlies at the time.
Yeah, terrific. Phenomenal college point guard.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really good back in the day when you would see guys stick around for 4 years. He was terrific. And then, you mentioned the wreck, and I still feel like he was a decent NBA player, but just really didn't take it to that next level at the NBA. Man, with him and his car accident, and Jay Williams with his motorcycle accident, man, the Duke point guards have had a rough go of it.
Yeah.
And they got to the NBA with wrecks.
Yeah,
Jay Williams' career was basically ruined by his.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Hurley, he was in his rookie year. This happened on December 12th, 1993. So, 31 years ago. His SUV was broadsided by a station wagon. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt. He was thrown from the vehicle and then suffered life-threatening injuries. He returned to the NBA for the 94-95 season and played 4 more years beyond that. So, and then got into coaching. And his brother Dan has done pretty well for himself.
He has. He has. Yeah.
He's won a couple of national championships.
Still a little bit whiny, but yeah, he's definitely done well for himself. I think it's really cool to... growing up and watching Bobby Hurley and all that good stuff, I think it's cool that he's going to be in our gym tonight.
Mm-hmm. That'll be fun. He's a fiery guy, and he had a little dust up with the Arizonans, here recently, where didn't really like how things were going, and they left the court early and didn't shake hands and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, the talk of there being too much trash talk going on. With the Arizona players and the Arizona State bench, you really would have to be there to know if that was overplayed or not.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Maybe he's trying to avoid an altercation, and so it was the best thing. It's hard to say, really.
Yeah. So who knows on that? But he's been an assistant for quite some time. Was at Wagner, Rhode Island, then a head coach at Buffalo before taking the Arizona State job in 2015. So I'm sure that they're not happy with kind of where they've been. They've lost 4 of their last 5, and haven't won since the Colorado game on January the 28th, and the week before they beat West Virginia on the road. So, like Coach McCaslin said, they've won a couple of times on the road, and they've been close.
Do you think that if we get a lead late, our student section will start chanting just like football?
Ooh, I like that. That's pretty good. Maybe you can go down and grab a megaphone and start that just like football.
You're probably not going to do that.
Just like football. No?
I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
You feel free.
No, I mean, we're going to be in our usual spot upstairs.
I would say we'll let our student section use their creativity, but there's some of it that it's been a little too creative from our students. Some of it's been awesome, though.
I love the the little flag that's not little, the big toughest team win thing that comes out at the beginning of the game, and I love the fire extinguisher kind of fog, during free throws and stuff like that. So it's a creative group.
Yep, no doubt.
I hope they're spirited tonight. All you professors that have Thursday classes, let's not have big papers due tomorrow or tests so that we can focus on basketball today.
All right, now you can't complain about student athletes because now you're telling them not to be.
I'm talking about the students, not the student athletes.
You just now can't complain. You can't get it both ways.
Student.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, gentlemen, pretty simple question for you today, but it's wide open with your answers. I just want to ask you, what's been the biggest surprise in the Big 12 men's basketball conference this year? What surprised you the most? It could be about anything.
Can I give you like two or three things that have surprised me, or you just want just one specific thing?
The number one, the biggest surprise.
I think Texas Tech is better than I thought it was going to be, especially when you consider kind of where you are in the standings today and what you're looking ahead. I mean, I felt like this team was a tournament team going in, but now I think you're more than a tournament team, and I really love how this team is gelled together because they're fun to watch as well.
Okay.
When I think Big 12 basketball, the very first name that comes out when I'm thinking of the schools that are in this conference, when I think basketball, it's the University of Kansas. And the reason I think that is because they have won this conference almost as many times as Oklahoma won it in football. Like it was Kansas in basketball and Oklahoma in football. That's who won the conference.
I think technically Kansas probably has won it more than Oklahoma. Yeah. I think. Would you agree?
It's probably pretty close.
No, I think KU basketball. I mean, they won like 14 of these things
in a row. Yeah.
Oklahoma won quite a lot of.
They did.
It might be. Maybe I'm got those, but it's really like that's who wins the conference, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Baseball's been a little bit different with who wins it in and out. You've had some swings for 4 or 5 year runs for a bunch of different teams. But they've been the same teams that rotate. But what the heck happened to Kansas basketball this year? Like, they're losing games that they used to blow out people with. They're losing to teams that you're like, I mean, I get losing one of those a year, but they're losing them all this year. And it's so Jekyll and Hyde.
They're just not a very good team. I mean, they've got talent, but they're just not a very good team.
We've still seen that before and them still win the conference.
But the other teams have gotten better around them, and I think maybe some of the NIL stuff has caught up with them. Because everybody else is better. Okay,
so I'll agree with both of you. Okay, I think Texas Tech is a little better than I expected, but not dramatically better than I expected. So I wouldn't say that's my biggest surprise.
Okay.
I'll expand on Jeff. Okay, the teams right now that are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9: Kansas, BYU, Baylor, K-State, West Virginia. Yes, K-State's playing really well right now. They're playing better. I think that group, if seeing as much as we have seen, is extremely mediocre. My biggest surprise, I don't think the conference is that great this year.
Overall.
I think you have 4 teams in the conference that are good enough to win the national championship. That if any of those 4, those top 4 teams in the conference made it to the Final Four, I don't think any of us would be surprised. If any of those 4, right? Houston, Arizona, Tech, Iowa State. All right. After that, I don't think it's as good as it has been.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's as. I do believe the SEC is a better basketball conference this year. I think those 4 are really good. So I am not here to dog what Texas Tech or Arizona or Houston or Iowa State is or what I think they will continue to do. But that next group, 5 through 9, that we thought was going to be, man, that's going to be salty. I disagree with Chuck about Kansas. I don't think they're that talented. They don't look anywhere close to being as talented as they normally are, in my opinion. They got no dude. I mean, Dickerson he's I shouldn't say that. He's a dude. He's good, but I don't know. Their
shooting is not very good.
They're not super athletic. I mean, they don't look very talented compared to what we expect from Kansas. But I look at them compared to a Houston or an Arizona or Tech or Iowa State. They don't compare. They don't look as good. Yeah, and so, and I'll say the same thing about Baylor. Last Tuesday, I was just never like that. I look at Baylor's roster, and I know they've had some injuries, and they're just not what I expected Baylor to be, right? And so it's kind of like that thing we always talk about with Texas and Oklahoma in football. Well, if they're down, well, it makes it look like the rest of the conference is down. Kansas and Baylor are 2 teams that you expect to be really good teams, and they're not. I just don't think the league is as good as I thought it was going to be this year. I thought it was going to be legit crazy good. I think 1 through 4 are all fantastic. I just think the rest of it is pretty meh.
The other big surprise is that Colorado hasn't won one game
Not
yet.
a single one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, don't get me wrong.
If you watch that game last night, you're
Sure.
like, yeah, no, I understand.
I get
they haven't
it.
won a game.
But even as bad as the Billy Gillispie team was, they won a Big 12 basketball game. We've seen 1 wins. We've seen 3 wins.
Did we?
Yeah.
I thought we went over.
Beat Baylor.
Why am I not remembering that correctly then?
Beat Baylor at home. That was the one. That was his 1 Big 12 win.
Okay.
But it's we've seen low numbers. I'm kind of scrolling back looking for it. Who was the last one that didn't win any? And this just started, so I'll let you know on the other side of the boom, boom, boom of, what I find out. But I don't remember somebody going 0 on the men's side.
I just thought there'd be more depth. I thought the conference would be better this year.
Yeah, I agree.
And it might bounce back next year, but they're not as good as I thought they were going to be.
All right, this surprised me. Kansas has won 64 conference championships in basketball, and Oklahoma has won 50 conference championships in football.
Pretty impressive for both of them.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hour 3 of 3. If you've been out amongst them this morning and you want to share any spots that you would like people to take their time going through, hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Visual Edge IT hotline is open as well at 806-771-0973.
Considering I just had to unfreeze our own gate, I'm going to go ahead and say all of them.
Okay.
Every spot out there.
Okay.
Assume everything you're going to roll over right now is ice.
Okay. All right.
Be safe. Get to work. Get your coffee. See your coworkers. Don't be in a rush. Being late today is better than being dead today.
I should put that on a T-shirt.
I think that's probably something for every day,
And I hate being late. Mm-hmm. Today, maybe be late. It's okay.
Yeah. We come to you this morning from the First United Bank studio. Again, thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Do be careful as you're matriculating around the city this morning. Getting yourself to work and all those kinds of things.
By the way, I have an answer to the question from when was the last time somebody went 0 on the men's side in Big 12 basketball? Mm-hmm. That would be Iowa State went 0-18 in 2020, 2021.
Oh, goodness. 2020, 2021. Man.
So that's post-COVID.
Right.
But still COVID restrictions.
Sure.
A little bit there, right?
Yes. Yeah. They weren't.
I mean, we weren't fully open.
They weren't fully open.
Basketball season.
Right.
I know football season was
even all the way through, because that's the year that all the games on the road were done from respective arenas.
Yeah. But 0-18, 0-9 at home, 0-9 on the road, 2-22 overall.
That got a coach fired.
I imagine it did, yeah.
Yeah. Somebody says this, Jeff. This may have come from on highest or from somebody's on highest. There's no reason to be late. Just leave earlier.
If you didn't leave earlier, be late.
Yeah, I understand.
That's my point.
Yeah.
I agree with everyone. If the weather's bad, you should be mature enough to make an adjustment with your time.
Yeah.
Smart enough, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't act like you're shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, if you do get out there and you figure out, oh man,
I made a mistake.
I'm not going to make it, still slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yes.
I agree with all the above.
Okay. Here's the headline that I told you about at 7:30. Dak Prescott says Cowboys, quote, very close to winning Super Bowl. What size T-shirt do you need, Jeff?
Well, hey, I mean, the Cowboys playing
just
Arlington.
Missed it, man, if that one field goal.
No. The Cowboys played at Arlington, and the Super Bowl was played in the Superdome. So, yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
That's within driving distance. You can go visit that for a day. See, he's not wrong.
He says this. I feel like you tell me what's wrong with this statement.
Dak is talking.
I feel like we've competed with the Eagles and beat them for the most part when we've played them. I don't want to say check the record.
But he did.
When the other guy is holding the trophy, right? So credit to them. They've earned it, and they deserve it by all means. But, yeah, we're very close.
What was the combined score in those two games this year, Jeff?
The two Eagles games or the Eagles games in the playoffs?
No, the Eagles and Cowboys games this year.
I believe that was 2-0 Eagles and 2-0 Washington.
No, they beat Washington, didn't they?
Did they beat Washington? I blocked out the whole season because there's no reason to remember it.
The only reason I know this, I heard them say this on ESPN radio, so I was coming in this morning on 100.7 the score. It was 75-13 in the two games between the Eagles and Cowboys this year.
Eagles beat them 41-7 on December the 29th, and the Eagles beat them 34-6 on Sunday, November the 10th.
75-13.
Yeah.
We're close. Check the records.
Yeah.
And we battled.
You're closer to beating Washington. You beat Washington 34-26, and then you lost to Washington 23-19. Somebody says Dak is just as delusional as Jerry.
Dak has to.
He's holding the bag of money.
Well, he has to act like what the Cowboys have done makes sense, and they're not that far off. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it would be clear that even he realizes that when he signed that contract and even the last one, that he's given this team no chance to win. And so he's not going to say, man, we're a ways off, because then it would be, and you also want him to be, you want him to be positive about his team. You don't want him to say, and I don't think we can win this year. You don't want to hear that.
No, you don't.
But you very easily could say, hey, those two teams in the NFC East were really good. We know that's where we got to get to. We think we're a good team. We just got to work hard and get a little bit better, whatever. And hopefully we'll be back to challenging them and maybe even more. You can say, but don't say what you said. It's just dumb.
He says, especially even watching the NFC Championship and those two teams that we battle against each and every year a couple of times. As I said, I feel confident that we've gotten the better part each and every time. But just seeing such a dominating fashion in the Super Bowl, credit to them. It's our turn, and it's on us.
Yes, it is on you as the team to play better and to use the people around you and not screw your own teammates over.
He does understand that the Super Bowl champion doesn't just cycle around, right? Like you got it last year, so now it's somebody else's turn. It's not your turn.
You don't stand in line for Super Bowl championships.
Yeah, unless you earn it.
Now, he could be confused. Yeah, let's give him just a little bit of credit here. He could be confused because nobody wins the NFC East back-to-back years. Like, forever. Like, the Eagles were the last one to do it, and that was back when the Kansas City Chiefs didn't have Andy Reid as their head coach. Like, that was the last time it happened.
Wow.
So, I'm just saying that he might be confused that he thinks everybody gets a chance to win since everybody in the NFC East has had a chance to win the East. But, Dak, shut up.
Yeah.
Get healthy and pretend like you're the quarterback we're paying you to be.
Well, again, he was at a charity event. He was asked a question. He's not going to say we're not going to be good.
Right.
He has to, but he could have.
We know where the bar is set, and we got to go get it.
He could have made that way more
Toned
vanilla.
it down quite a bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.